Welcome to the Cherry Picker, the horror movie podcast where we like to kill people, but not really. I'm your host, Zack Cherry, and this guy...
Will you please stop staring at me like I took a dump on your mom's head? Eddie of Edward is Truth.
And today we are discussing Happy Death Day, released October 13th, 2017. I'm sorry. And I was shooketh to read that date because this is 5 years old now.
I know, and that
does it feel like it?
I mean, it feels like it just got released, but also I thought it got released 10 years ago.
Oh, really? Well, the sequel came out in 2019, and the sequel feels a lot like the same movie in certain aspects. So that might be it, but this really does feel I don't know, where did the last 5 years go? I know I say that all the time. It's like Candyman came out 30 years ago. It seemed like it was yesterday, but
in the last 5 years there was a global pandemic, so
we basically it was like a Big Brother rewind week where nothing counted. We're actually in 2019 right now.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh my God. So many things would be different. Sorry, and don't talk about the before times. These kids today, they don't know.
No,
they don't know.
Anyway.
All right.
Movie. Yeah. Do you want to start us off with a synopsis?
I actually didn't write one, but I will. I mean, it's so...
Come up with it on the spot, improvise.
Yeah. And I'm not even gonna put on a voice because you could still run footage over it and everything like that because on YouTube that's what we do. Okay, so there's this girl Tree, and she wakes up in a bed, and there's a guy, and she assumes that she spent the night with him, and then she's a real bitch all day, and then she gets killed, and she wakes up the next morning, only it's the same morning that she woke up in, of the aforementioned time. And this keeps happening, somebody keeps killing her, and she has to figure out who tried to kill her, and then she does, and in the course of the movie, she becomes a better person. There you go.
Should we just wrap this up now? I'm taking it from that synopsis that you're not very enthusiastic about this movie.
I'm not, which is I think is interesting to talk about, because I remember being so impressed with this movie because I remember I saw the ads for it and the trailers and everything like that, and I was just like, oh, I'll probably get to it. Oh, Christopher Landon, I like him. I'll probably get to it when I get to it. And then, time passed, and my oldest friend, John Carlos, we had a movie weekend, and he was like, you haven't seen this yet? I'm like, yeah. And so he screened it for me. He owned it. And I was just kind of like, all right, we'll see what this is. And I was so pleasantly surprised. I was like, wow, this is not just, it's not really horror. Not really, but it's got a lot going on. It's got kind of all the usual bells and whistles that I like, it's got a very interpersonal story, an incredible performance by Jessica Rothe, and I did look it up. That's how you pronounce it. I always been saying Rothe for all this time because there's fucking E at the end of it, but it's Rothe. She introduced herself as, hello, I'm Jessica Rothe, and I'm going to be putting makeup on today. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's on YouTube. And anyway, so I really, really liked it, and I was looking forward because we knew the sequel was coming, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to see that. And we'll talk about that, I guess, when we do that pod. But with this,
I don't know if I want to now that you've kind of.
Well, I'm not enthusiastic about every movie we bring to the pod, but no, but this one, I think, but I was kind of about watching it, and then I watched it, and the pleasant surprise was Jessica Roth's performance. She carries the movie for me, but there's a lot of things about the movie in and of itself that, because I saw the sequel, are actually kind of spoiled for me now. And also just, I don't know, the movie itself is not kind of the strongest thing. I mean, it's a good movie. I would love to screen it for people for the first time. That's what this movie is. I don't want to watch it over and over again alone.
I love that you have this obsession to screen things for people. I just be like, hey, you should check this out, and then tell me when you do. Like, I don't need to sit there and watch their you kids these days are needing to watch people react to shit. Like, I don't know what this phenomenon is.
Well, I mean, if it's somebody I care about, you know, and if I want to see, like, because if there's something that I think might interest them, then I just want to see, like, are they going to cry? Or when are they going to laugh? You know, are they going to like it as much as I did the first time I saw it? But what about you? How do you feel?
I mean, okay, yeah, because I don't remember. I've probably seen this like 3 times now. I think, like, with this most recent one being the third, and I've spoken before about, you know, movies and rewatchability factor, and I don't remember if I've seen the sequel more, because I didn't own the first one on Blu-ray until more recently, but I always had the second one for some reason, and I know I've seen that at least twice, but I can't even remember what happened in the second one, other than there was like more like science fiction-y stuff going on there. But I guess just like watching this, like, I was kind of not bored, but like the whole premise is very repetitive of just like sort of like going through the motions of reliving the same day. But for some reason, like, the more and more the story went on, the more invested, like reinvested I was getting. That by the time the movie ended, like the final scene of her confrontation with the killer, it's just like, oh wow, like this was really good. Like I'm glad that I stayed invested. Probably like by the midway point, I think like after she's in the cop car and it explodes, I think like everything from that point on, because it's just like it all seemed like silly and like fun and games up until then, that like it got to a point where it's just like, shit, I really got to take this seriously, or else I'm like in my forever hell, you know, like this may as well have been like one of those Hellraiser sequels where they just like relive the same shit over and over again because they're in hell. But I think that it's surprising that, you know, I do like this movie a lot, because I find there's nothing sound about this movie. There's so many holes in everything that really, like, you just have to go into this and look at it as like a character journey for Trey, because that's essentially all it is. This isn't really a slasher movie. It's not a whodunit.
No.
It's basically, I would even say it's like maybe could be classified as more of like a coming of age story. Because I think that almost like in a way the Babyface killer, which I think is just a very weak like even visage of like a threat, and like it's just like a fucking mask and like a hoodie or whatever. But I was thinking about it, and like maybe it's like the representation of the baby itself is more just like that's her childhood, or just like her past that she's holding on to, because, you know, obviously there's this whole story of her mother and things like that. So it's almost metaphorical in a way that like the killer is this like thug in a hoodie and a baby face mask. That's like the one element of that killer that I like. But everything else, like, I'm just more so fascinated by her kind of just like being a total douchebag at the beginning of the movie, and then just like ever so slowly just kind of like there's a nuance to like every day, like relived, or when she wakes up, that makes, you know, like a movie like this that would feel very stagnant, like, you know, you're watching the same shit over again, just in her performance of just how it does feel different every time. So you can watch this again and again. But I don't know, I guess like when I started the movie, I was just like, okay, here we go. You know, I got to sit through this. I've been very busy with a lot of shit this month, so it's I think it was more just like a chore to like start watching a movie at 4 a.m.
That's what it felt like, and that's what it felt like, actually. Like, I wasn't looking forward to seeing it, and but I mean, I gotta say, like, it's not like it was hell. I wasn't sitting here going, my leg wasn't pumping. I wasn't checking, my phone or anything like that. I think I checked after she died the second time. I did check the time signature just to be like, this movie's really kind of like going along. It doesn't drag. And I was a half hour into basically like a 92-minute movie. So I'm like, oh my God, okay, this is going to be painless. Like, that's fine. But and it's more than painless. The thing is, like, I don't want it to sound like I'm completely putting the movie down. If you haven't seen the movie and we've already spoiled some shit for you, like, stop this and go see it. Like, it's a good movie. You'll enjoy it. But I think people who have seen it more than once might understand where both of us are kind of coming from. But I mean, like, you mentioned the Babyface killer and everything like that, and there was a moment, like, under the bridge, the first time she really confronts him with, like, the music box on the pavement and stuff, where I was kind of like, okay, this is tense. Like, I mean, it's not brain surgery. It's a slasher kind of premise you're issuing to us. So okay, and that music box, like, okay, that's kind of creepy. And it's not talking and just kind of standing there and then dashing out into the shadows. Okay, yeah, that would be creepy. If I were in that situation, I'd probably be like, okay, I'm turning around because you're creepy. But another thing you brought up and I wanted to comment on was something that I did notice this time that actually I like a lot. Is the fact that as early as the second time she wakes up in the loop, or the first time she wakes up in the loop, the first time she just wakes up,
the first day relived.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
When she wakes up in that, I was observing just like how it felt like the script was making some kind of comment about like how Tree's bitchery and her just general douchebaggery to everyone in her life. It was almost like something she had to flex. Like it took effort in a sense to just kind of like disregard everybody and be that kind of a person, because she was actually pretty decent that first revisited morning, just because she was disoriented and she didn't quite understand. She still thought it was kind of deja vu, but she was kind of throwing her off her game, and she was noticing things. And right off the bat, she wasn't being rude. She wasn't like going out of her way to be nice to people or anything. But the default personality for Tree was just kind of like a person who's just walking around trying to figure it out. And I thought that was interesting, if there was any kind of like greater indication, because the only time it really kind of came up for me in a big way, her being, kind of like that first 15 minutes Tree, is when she had to speak to Israel Broussard's character, whose name I can't even remember right now, the boy
Carter
with the curly hair. Carter, thank you. Yeah. See, I can't remember his name, but
she basically said every time she woke up, just like, Carter.
I know, right? Carter. And but so she's sitting there with Carter, and he's making her hate list of the people who hate her. Yeah. And she's going over all the people, like the Lyft driver or the Uber driver she spit on or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he just starts to kind of give her a look. She's just like, what? We all have, like, I don't remember what she says, but something like, we all have bad days or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, okay, well, that's not true. But, and I don't know. One thing I adore is that I totally buy Tree at every stage of this movie. Like, it seems absolutely plausible that she is who she is in any given situation, and because Jessica Rothe is one of those actors who you can become comfortable with and want to go on the ride with, regardless of what they do. She's always interesting, and she's always got something going on. I'm sad that she's not the lead in more movies. I haven't seen the Loverboy remake, and apparently she's in that and she sings in that. I forgot she was in La La Land as, I guess, one of Emma Stone's friends. I don't even remember, because I only saw that movie once and I hated it. But I would love to see her, name above the title. She's that kind of talent, and she's that kind of,
maybe if they do Happy Death Day 3 that'll be the point. You know, if Ethan Hawke gets his fucking name above the title for being in 5 minutes of Black Phone, then let Jessica Roth, not Rothe, have her day.
Or Freaky Death Day, which I mean,
no, I don't need that. No, thank you.
I mean, I'd be interested.
I know you like that movie. I just no.
But I think I like it less because even the prospect, I have that. I own both. I own Happy Death Day to You, and Freaky all in my Apple Plus, like, you know, purchases or whatever, so I can stream them whenever I want. I haven't seen Freaky in, I don't know, a year and a half. And when did it get released? Is that even possible? Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
So
late 2020.
After seeing that like Paranormal Activity movie on Paramount Plus, I'm just like, bring Christopher Landon back to the Paranormal Activity franchise.
Did he not do the last one?
No, he was not involved. The last one were different people.
I thought that I did see his name on.
Maybe because characters based on or something like that.
But there were no characters based on.
But I mean, you know, the premise or whatever.
Who knows?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But if I remember
he just directed
correctly,
this. He didn't write the first one here. Right. I know that he wrote this the sequel, Happy Death Day to You, but
Scott Lobdell wrote this one.
Who?
Scott Lobdell. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
That sounds familiar.
He did.
Keep talking while I look him up, or you look him up and I'll talk.
He did Man of the House.
What is that, like a Tim Allen movie?
It's a Tommy Lee Jones movie with Cedric the Entertainer. Okay. And he did Critters Attack in 2019. He wrote something called Mosaic. I don't know any of these. He did, it looks like he did an episode of Godzilla the series. Oh, he did some X-Men, the animated series. He wrote for that.
Well,
you know what? That makes sense to me.
Well, I mean, this is essentially Groundhog Day, the horror version of it, which I think I like the novelty of that, because even Freaky is the Freaky Friday of horror. So I mean, if that's the pattern of just like the movies that Christopher Landon does, like if that's his niche, then sure, you know, keep finding like treasured comedies from like the years gone by to just revisit and introduce
just horrorize
to
them.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm fine with that. You know, like even if like not every single one of them is a hit, I'd still watch every single one of them. Like I'm trying to think of like what the next one should be that they would do.
So yeah, I'm less enthusiastic about even just like the premise of that, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like it'd just be Christopher Landon continuing like the young pretty people, you know, quasi horror, like not quite horror with, you know, an angle, and I think.
But it's not like the entire genre is gonna become that. That's just like his.
No. But just from him, I'd like to see more. Him stretch himself in other directions and stop, you know, like. Stop just writing about
well, then he should leave
people.
Blumhouse. I don't know what else to tell you.
Maybe that's the answer.
I feel like Blumhouse just like it just everything it touches turns to poison. You know?
I mean, again, like this movie isn't poison. Like this movie is good, but I mean, like I said, like without going into spoilers, there are things we find out in the sequel that actually kind of ruin the ride for me of this movie, because. Just because I'm not going to say why.
Yeah.
But it makes it less fun to return to the first movie, because I'm just kind of like, well, now I know so much more.
I don't remember, so we don't need to talk about.
You're lucky. But, you're really lucky.
Yeah. If there's one that, like, if there's a criticism I had, like outside of like the logistical angle of certain things, because that didn't actually bother me at all, was more so just the character of her father, because I felt that was so shoehorned in. Like we only see him the one time, other than like seeing him call her all throughout the day, and then like his angry voicemail that she just like deletes or whatever right away. But that entire scene, it just felt so like saccharine in a way. Just like, I don't want, like, we need to talk about like mom, like we can't just keep putting it off. Like I'm not going to do this small talk thing, but it's just like, I don't even know who this person is. Like he's just sitting there and it's like all of a sudden he showed up in the movie. Like it would have been nice if maybe there was something else. I mean, maybe that would have like bloated the movie a little bit if he, had showed up earlier, but just to get like more of a sense, because I feel like even in that scene, like I'm not getting anything from him. I'm just seeing her side of this relationship, which doesn't make me like, I care about her, but I don't really care about him through her, if that makes sense. And normally, like if there's a character that I like Tree, that I should care about every character that she cares about, and I just don't care about her life outside of college,
Well, because also, this is the thing. I agree with you in terms of, I love her side of this scene. Like, I love when the camera's on her, and I love when it's a two-shot focusing on her side of the screen. And she's doing great work, but I feel like I am watching kind of like an audition tape. Not because her performance isn't great. It feels like a great audition tape. But because and I don't like to say this usually, but I didn't feel like the actor's performance was necessarily on par with hers. If they could have swung some kind of name actor so there's like a recognizability and already kind of like a comfort.
Ethan Hawke, the Blum's got him on the books.
But that's another thing that kind of pulls me out of it, is like if they could have swung someone who actually held a little bit more of a resemblance to her. Like I have a hard time believing like there's enough of a resemblance between her and her mother, and maybe it's just because of the blonde hair. Yeah. But if her father had been kind of like blonde or sandy blonde or something like that, and looked like, he made a little more money, like I mean, it's such a bitchy thing to say, but the guy, he looks like, just like a working. We like actor, when the bitch comes out. It's like okay. Whatever. Exactly. Yeah. But
he looked like what?
I don't know. If there was someone, he looked like a kind of like a lunch pail actor, just kind of like, okay, I've got my 3 lines. I'm gonna go on set and I'm gonna give it all I got, and it's like good for you. But I need a father. I need an actor who's gonna be giving just as much as she is in less time, and who basically doesn't really get to express anything of his own perspective, because that scene is all about her. And I wish that they could have cast an actor who might have, and maybe that actor did incredible work, and it all ended up on the cutting room floor because the scene was longer. I have no idea, but if they
could have just gotten rid of the family element altogether, or maybe like turned it into like a sibling or someone like closer to her age, so there's more. They could have had like a shared energy or something, because I wasn't feeling anything between those two.
Okay, well I don't feel like the choice to have the mother gone and have her father like meet her and everything like that is saccharine, because that actually did make me cry. But again, like it's because oh look, Jessica Rothe can do anything, and because maybe it helps, like having lost a parent like myself, I'm a pretty easy target. I'm not an absolute sure thing target, but because there are things where I'll watch them and just be kind of like, it's not so like that. Yeah. But I watched Jessica Rothe and her performance. I'm just kind of like, okay, I have no problem believing you've lost someone, know, like.
By the way, how bummed out were you when she had her perfect day, where she did everything right. She waved hi to the girl sitting in front of the sorority, and then like died in her sleeper. Like I was just like, no, like that was a perfect day, and now she's got to wake up and just, the last day when she's just trying to like frantically pack her bag and run away. So I always thought about that, and I was just kind of like, that's shitty. But the funny thing is that like Carter, or what's his name in real life? I don't know how you remembered like his real name, but.
But because he's kind of canceled now. I've read it in too many headlines. He was just mouthing off on Twitter like a couple years back about like how Black Lives Matter is bad for Black people and they should just stop. And he's an idiot. He's just an absolute kind of presumptuous, self-assured ass who just
okay. Yeah, I don't keep up with with celebrity names that I can't pronounce.
I didn't either, but it came up. Israel Broussard is his name, though, and he did some other Netflix movie that I haven't seen yet, where he was like one of two love interests or something. I can't remember the name of it.
I like his character.
Noah Centineo in it, I think.
Yeah, but the thing with him is like, he's like a dog, and like he's just there, like he's ready to party. Like, you know, if she's mean to him, like he'll be like, oh, but then she'll be like, hey, like let's meet up for lunch later. He'll be like, okay, you know, like it doesn't matter like what she could just like punch him in the face during one of the days, and then the next day be like, I punched you in the face or whatever. But it's just like how on board he is for like believing her story and everything, because he's just so like up for hanging out with her that he doesn't care. Like, I'm even like thinking like, do you really believe her at any point here? That he's just hanging out with her and like they're writing out their list of things and whatnot. That's I think that he's just kind of like, here's this hot girl who's talking to me. I'm just gonna like, I'm just gonna agree to everything she says, even though I think she's crazy. Because I kind of like her, but she likes me.
Like, he has the day, but he also has the day free. If he had classes or if he had other things going on, then, because maybe in his own little kind of like fantasy before she woke up, he was thinking like, so she'll wake up and she might not remember, but if she does, I'll just let her know I was really, really decent and just, you know, put her to bed and stuff and see if she wants to maybe like go grab some breakfast. And then after that, if that goes well, maybe we'll go catch like a matinee, like we'll go see a movie together. And then like, if that goes well, then maybe like we can go to the zoo. You know, I mean, he might have planned like a day, and the thing that I like about it is when the right person comes along, and I don't mean the right person in terms of the right person for you, I just mean when the person who makes your head turn and makes you take notice. I think I would do exactly the same thing at his age.
Well, everything that you just described, like planning out an itinerary, that sounds like a very Virgo thing. So, I did what and also because I wanted to point out, because Tree's birthday is September 18th, and I think that's Virgo, right?
That's Virgo.
Do you find Tree embodies like Virgo energy?
In terms of extremes, yeah, because one thing about Virgos, and I am a textbook Virgo, but one thing that I know is that
like a talking textbook.
Yes, I am.
At that, yeah.
But it's like we can be incredibly restrained until we're not, and then once we make a decision to go in a particular direction, we go so hard. Like, it's very, because we're so used to striving for balance that when we just kind of need to be unbridled, there is no bounds. All of a sudden there are no limits, and I will do it all, and I will drink it all, and I will imbibe life, and I shall take a bite out of the ass of it, and I shall, you know, which I really, that's probably another reason why, not because she's a Virgo, but just because the mornings that she wakes up where she's the more extreme are my favorites. Like the fact that like at one point she wakes up, he starts saying his line that he always says, and she's like, silence! And I'm just like, yes, get weird. When she's walking around naked, and when she's just running around screaming in everybody's face because I did everything right! I mean, the more she just kind of like plays with the freedom that she has being trapped in the same day over and over again, that's when I really love. Although, okay, there is one.
If you had to relive the same day, like what would you do? Just kind of like to cause trouble that, you know, you'd get away with.
But I'm dying like her.
Well, like then you're just you're reliving the same day.
Oh God! I mean, I would, because I'd probably question it now, but I would because I'm self-involved, and because the precedent set with these kinds of movies is usually that you have to learn something or change something or, you know, alter something in order to like break out of the pattern. I'd probably assume it's all about me, and I'd probably try to do things different. But before I did everything different, there was this movie that has a similar premise. I think it was just called Palm Springs. It came out on Hulu with Andy Samberg and an actress whose name I can't remember right now. She was really good though. And they were trapped together in the same day, recurring, but he had been trapped first, and now all of a sudden she was trapped with him. And there was something about the way they dealt with it that I was just kind of like, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I would spend like maybe the first couple weeks enjoying it, treating it like a vacation after once I realized what's going on, you know, like I'd probably be a little freaked out, think everybody's playing a prank on me the first day, but then when I woke up the third day, by the third day, I think I'd be just kind of like, all right, awesome, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'll feed my cat, you know, I'll take care. I'll try to be there for this person on this day and see what it's like when I'm like that, and then I'll try to, and then but I would use, you know, and then I'll just isolate on one day and just, you know, be like, nope, sorry, I can't make it. I don't know. I would use the time, but if somebody were killing me, that's the thing. She can't just kind of like recreate, you know. She's slowly really dying, and it's doing damage to her, so she's got to outrun the clock and figure out who's trying to kill her in her head. So she can actually.
I mean, that angle of it, that's one of the logistical things that I was just like, so what? Like the internal effects of it are killing her slowly. Like that just felt very shoehorned in. Like they didn't really have any way to explain that. But
well, because her memory is intact, also. Like she remembers every day prior.
Her memory is intact, but it's they're just kind of like it's almost like this MacGuffin of just like, you're eventually going to die, but we don't have an answer as to when. It's just like you're gonna keep getting weaker and weaker, but we don't really see any like really. Mostly I just see like fatigue, like mental fatigue, like.
And her voice.
Yeah.
Her voice, it starts to get really like air like the air is out of the bag and she's waking up like this every morning.
The logistical aspect of it, because I mean, like if you're trying to escape a killer and you know what they're, I mean, it's almost like I'm thinking of that like Nick Cage movie Next where he like do you remember the one I'm talking about where he can like see every move into the future, then just like have the perfect existence or some stupid shit like that. But it's almost like she can predict the killer's moves now so clearly from reliving the day that, I mean, if she just found a way to pack up and like leave town, then she lives through the day and then she's fine. But, you know, who knows? Maybe she'll die the next day. But I don't know. This is the one thing I remember from the sequel, so I won't like go into it. But it seemed like because there was other factors involved in it. But in terms of, like, uncovering who the killer is, just, like, there were so many times where she got stabbed and was just standing in front of the killer before she kind of, like, keeled over and died, that she could have just been, like, taken off the mask and been like, oh, it's Lori.
Oh, my God.
You know? Like,
that's true. That's true, actually.
Or just take one of your lives, if you know you're going to die anyway, and just run after them. Like, she full-on, like, hung herself in the clock tower because she thought the killer was what's his face at one point. But she could have, you know, if she had just done something like that earlier and just been like, oh, I'm dying anyway, so let me see who this is. Unless it was a two-killer situation, then that might have thrown a twist in it, but I don't think that they were really.
John Toombs is the killer.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, the killer was so irrelevant. I think even when I saw this in the theater, I pegged Lori as the killer because I'm just like, who else is it going to be at this point? Like, there are no other characters in the movie that it could be. That it's just like, it's obviously this bitch.
I love when she starts kind of like when she believes that it's Danielle and she starts beating the shit out of her in the street, punching her on pavement.
Can we talk about all the people that she kills in the process of like her dying? Because like I'm certain that her and Danielle got hit by that bus and then would have been out, and then she struck that other girl with a bat outside of the house.
The other girl with
the one with the Becky. The one with the chocolate milk.
Oh.
The one that that Danielle made fun of.
Right, yeah. Okay.
And then also, but not only that, because there's another point in the movie where she has this realization that like if she survives, then the day doesn't reset and all the like Carter will stay dead or whatever. Like after he died. Yeah. But it's just like, well, there was like the security guard at the hospital and the nurse got shot too. Like how, like, did they not matter? And then also Gregory, because he got stabbed. There was a lot of people that got killed here, and then just like it kind of makes me think like, well, did their day go on? Is there like multiple realities and existences where like Tree dies in every single one of them, and they're just like, oh, like Tree blew up in a cop car, or got stabbed with a bong.
All good questions for the sequel, but one
now you're excited for it.
Thing. Totally.
Yeah.
No, one logistical thing that actually it seems insignificant, but it bothered me a lot, was planting the prop of the notepad that she was scribbling in red the names of all the people she suspected could be killing her.
Yeah.
Because she wrote out the list and then found out one person wasn't it and crossed out their name. And we keep cutting back to that list. The same list with the same names that are crossed out, like, day by day and everything like that, to like the new name.
But that just means that
that list should not exist.
No, but that just means that she made that list every day and just like had already crossed out the names.
Why would she make the same list? She already knows they're not on the list, so why would she write their name and then cross it out again and then write?
Because she has to remember things.
I know
she's a Virgo. She needs to write things down. You know this more than anyone else.
No, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't write down the names I've already crossed out. I'd remember 3 names. I'd be like, okay, there are 3 people who I know it's not. Maybe, I don't know, maybe if there were a different way for her to, like, if there were one Post-it
all I'm going to say is that, of course, anything to do with, like, list writing would be your pet peeve of the movie.
Of
that's
course.
All I'm going to say.
Because that's not the way time works. It's not logical. But, I mean, but it really did bother me. Yeah, it irked me a lot. I'm trying to think about other things, because I did not take notes for this one either.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I wrote down Bayfield, Louisiana, because this is the first time I really kind of realized, I thought it was Anytown, USA that this movie took place in. Mm-hmm. And I realized, oh, no, it's actually a place in Louisiana. I don't know if it's an actual city, but they gave it a name, because Bayfield is on the side of the cop car when she gets pulled over and everything. But I was just like, okay, Louisiana, is that significant? I don't know, not really. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just college somewhere out in the Midwest.
Did like a map of the U.S. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I saw this, but it was just like they had every province. Here I am in Canada. They had every state designated to like an individual horror movie. So like Halloween was Illinois. And I think Scream was California, just like where the horror movie was based. But then I looked at it and I'm like, well, this isn't accurate, because they would just like sort of made things up and placed it. But I would love to see a map that was accurate of just like every state filled in with a horror movie that takes place in that state. So then I guess like Louisiana would be designated to Happy Death Day, unless you can think of like a more prominent Louisiana-based horror.
Not off the top of my head, not at all.
I'm
sure somebody somewhere.
Skeleton Key, that was Louisiana.
Oh God,
right?
I haven't seen that in so long. I don't remember. Yeah, maybe. Sure.
Yeah.
Was it shot in Louisiana?
I saw it recently, but yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't seen it in like when did that get released? Like over 10 years ago.
2005. Yeah, quite a while.
Okay,
ago.
So like over 15 years ago. Yeah. I remember renting it once just out of curiosity 2 years after it was released and going. It immediately left my memory. All I remember is Kate Hudson's in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she is.
You had to think about it.
No, I didn't.
What did you think about? What did you think about the storyline with her and her professor that she was having the affair with in this movie?
Honestly, I just kept thinking back to Candyman. I was just like, oh well, because the wife came in, and I'm just like, I wish that was Helen instead of whatever the wife was in this movie. It was like, this is like the Candyman prequel, and Tree is Stacy.
Oh, God.
No, I didn't think.
Oh my God!
Of it. I just thought I liked when she just kind of like on her perfect day, you know, the one that got erased anyway. But when she went into the classroom and she's just like, yo, or whatever his name was, Professor Gregory, I'll just call him that. I don't know what his last name
Gregory,
is. But it's like, can I speak to you out here? Just
Butler.
Professor Butler. Just how she controlled everyone at that point. Like, she was just on. And just, basically telling him, like, fuck you. That was great. But I mean, like, everything else, I feel like that was more so just like red herring, because they're just like, who could the kill, like the first part of the movie was very much like, who could the killer be, like all the stuff with the notepad and crossing off names, and then it just like as it became more realized as to what it was, of just like her story and just kind of overcoming herself. I think that's probably why I was enjoying the movie more as I went along, because like as a slasher whodunit, it's not good. Like it fails on that front. But I was gonna say because when we did the Final Girl ranking on our Cherry Picker After Dark Patreon bonus episode, we did the Final Girl ranking, and I don't remember exactly where Tree fell, but she was top tier. Like she might have been top 10, right?
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
And I think the reason that we gave, like that we cited for that, is because Tree, she's not up against any formidable force like a Michael Myers or a Freddy Krueger. She's going up against herself, and that's sometimes like you're your own worst enemy. So, you know, like the shit that she has to overcome in this movie is, you know, like probably metaphorically more you know what I'm saying, right? Because I don't.
I do. Like,
I just can't find the words.
No, I mean, it's maybe more poignant, more and also just like these trials are all incredibly personal. Like, I mean, yes, she does have to like pick up a weapon. She has to learn how to, you know, turn off the safety. She has to, you know, and just go completely gung ho in absolute, like kind of encompass the epitome of self-defense, you know. But in addition to all, and I love that I buy all of that as well. But in addition to all of that, she has to confront who she's become, and also accept that it's out of a reaction from, you know, outrunning who she was. Like, not for whatever reason, who she was is something that's no longer worth pursuing because it hurts too much. And all of that feels incredibly plausible. And that's why I say, like, you know, if she weren't written as deftly, and if Jessica Rothe were not playing her, I don't think you could cast just anybody in this movie. If you don't have Tree, you don't have the movie. Yeah. So, and thank God they found her. But so I think that's why she's so high, is because she kind of succeeds as a character in every instance that they put her in. Even if she doesn't succeed in the moment, she succeeds because we're rooting for her. Like when she's behind the wheel of the car and she just starts, you know, like celebrating too soon, and she's speeding, and the cop pulls her over and shines the light on her face, and she's like the thing is, she could literally just tell him what's going on. Like, I was just in the hospital, hence the gown. Someone was trying to kill me, and I ran into the parking garage. I had some keys that I lifted off of someone, you know, who happened to be in the line of fire. And I found this car, and I had no choice, officer. Somebody was pursuing me like just minutes ago. Please, can you call out, you know, say there's a killer loose, and make sure that, you know, but she wasn't thinking clearly. She was too busy being, I don't know. It was also a comical moment just to kind of watch her big sad eyes and just be like, listen, I can explain. I don't. But then I love that it turns, because that's actually kind of, you know, heinous, because all of a sudden it turns when she realizes, wait a minute, if you arrest me, you're going to put me in a jail cell, right? Where like nobody can gain access to me. It's like, yes, that's what I'm going to do. And she's just like, I'm drunk. I'm drunk and I'm high, so high. You name it, I'm on it. You know, I just, I love that I understand the pathos behind it, but I think it also is highly amusing and kind of smart, I guess. Because
I don't know. I feel like in a horror movie, like just because you're like in a prison cell doesn't necessarily mean that you're safe from outside forces.
How are they going to get into the cell, though?
Okay, look. Like, have you seen Saw 7?
It's a corporeal being. You think that the Babyface killer goes as deep as Jigsaw and his inner work? We're going to find out that there's like an elaborate kind of like underworld.
I mean, well, this like fucking Babyface was doing a lot of damage for...
being two people. I mean, essentially like two people. What was that mask doing in the professor's... Well, because like it was... the escaped murderer. I said his name.
It wasn't him. She just put it on him to frame him.
Right, but you don't think he went off and tried to kill people after that?
Well, no, because it never happened.
No, I mean like in any one of the timelines. In any
no, I don't think that. No,
think that, like he.
Do you think
he gets cut loose, and you don't think he goes out and starts trying to kill people? That character.
Now you're gonna make me think of like a Who Killed Who in Happy Death Day. No, it was always. I'm pretty sure it was always the roommate.
It was always her. It was always the roommate trying to kill Tree. Yeah. I agree with you there, except for when the mask wasn't on, and we obviously knew it was Mr. Toombs. But he had other victims that they had talked about, like in the past, like who kind of like fit her. No, look,
I don't.
But she's not the only blonde girl on campus.
No, because I don't buy that. Because then what? Okay, so like the second death, when she goes to the surprise birthday or whatever, how would like this Toombs guy like specifically seek her out and follow her? Like that's just kind of like
I'm not. I just said he didn't. It's not pursuing Tree, but if he's free and if he's gallivanting about, he's gonna try to kill somebody. There are going to be victims in his wake.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think that was all Lori. Like she that was not Toombs who ran over the cop.
No, I didn't say it. I'm not. Okay, you keep trying to make it sound like I'm arguing.
No, but that's what I'm interpreting from what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is anytime it had to do specifically, if it was a masked killer and it had to do specifically with Tree, we know that Lori was the one who was tailing her. Lori was the one who could like tell like where she was going to be here and there and everything like that, as opposed to Toombs, who is a loose dog. I'm not saying he, as the Babyface killer, ever tried to kill Tree, but I'm saying he could have tried to kill somebody. He is a killer. He was let loose. The second he saw Tree, because she's his type, he had no problem wanting to kill her.
Oh, honey, I don't deal with
could have gone out after other people.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Never mind. You say something now.
No, because now you're just making me get angrier about the logistical inconsistencies of the movie. And well, as to why like Gregory had the fucking mask in his desk. I don't know. I feel like because all these characters had the mask. Remember, like the one at the party, that's
the guy the dancing guy.
Yeah, that Danielle liked.
Was that
she was doing the thing right? that Cordelia did in Buffy in that one episode when she was trying to attract the college.
It's better when Cordelia does it, but yeah,
I quite enjoy Danielle. She's a fun character. If anything, I remember her in the sequel more because they really play up to her.
Jesus.
Oh no. Oh no.
Right. I always think of one scene, but we'll talk about that when we get to that pod.
No, I don't want to do the sequel now. You've turned me off of it. As far as anything with the mask, it was like the school mascots. So They're like, everyone had it. That's how they explained it, I guess.
And that's one of the components that makes it all the whodunit aspect of it feel kind of like an afterthought. Like, we'll do as much as we have to, but you know.
I mean, like, by the time we find out that it's Laurie, like, it's just like big deal, like whatever. But I mean, like, I love that she kicked her ass, and
I was just going to say that we got a really good
shoved the
brutal
cupcake
fight
in her mouth and kicked her out.
Yes, eat it, bitch. And like,
I also love like the
window and shit.
Yeah, I also love the extremes that like Laurie shifts to. It's just like, first, like, I'm just gonna bake her this one tiny little cupcake, like, and when she threw it in the garbage, she's like, I made that from scratch. And just like, well, where are the rest of them? You know, like, you just made one. Like, I just imagine her with this like tiny mixing bowl. Like, I'm just making one like mini cupcake. But then, like, to go from that, like, I'm gonna poison you discreetly, to, well, now I'm just gonna like go on this full-on murder spree, and anyone who gets in my way, I'm gonna kill them too. Like, it's just
right.
Like, what's
I'm
shit?
gonna throw caution to the wind. I'm no longer concerned with like how it looks or how. I mean, I always love that from my killers when they just kind of like, you know what? Fuck all this. I'm just going full Jill Scroforum on your ass.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'll figure it out after I kill you. How I'm gonna explain this or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess I'm on the lam now. Shrug.
Yeah.
But shrug emoji. But what I do with Laurie, I remember, because I didn't suspect her, because I never see shit like that coming. So the first time I saw the movie, it never occurred to me that it could be anybody. I was just kind of like, I have no idea who this killer is, but I'm so digging this movie. And then when I found out it was her, I was just kind of like, oh my God, I thought, so the whole time I was feeling bad for you because you made that from scratch. Now it's just like, no, you were trying to kill her. Your disappointment isn't that like, oh my gosh, I put so much effort into that. It's like, I put so much effort into trying to kill you. I also love, it's an aspect of the screenwriting that I love, is that Laurie's justification for trying to kill Tree, initial justification, is over a guy. And she's like, you've been trying to kill me over a guy? Just because it is so preposterous. Like, you are that, you know, simplistic and that cliche, like, fuck you. And I feel exactly the same way Tree does.
And then, but then she said, and also because you're an idiot or something like that. Or,
you're a dumb bitch.
You're a dumb bitch, yeah.
And I mean, like, okay, I mean, we all got our reasons.
It's
and
it's a weak motive, you know.
Yeah, but also the readily kind of like also you mentioned Carter's kind of like eager buy into like Tree's whole premise.
Yeah.
I love the fact that like Tree tells her like, I've lived this day over and over and over again and you killed me every single time. She's like, well, I'm just gonna have to do it again then. I just just buy into it. Just go like, okay, fine, I guess I have, and I'll just do, and I'm gonna do it again. I mean, yeah, again, not
even like a recognition of like, notorious. How does she know? You know, like.
I mean, even the way she discovers it, like, I don't know. It doesn't fall in a way that like feels absolutely natural.
Oh, like how Tree discovers, like, figures out that the cupcake is poisoned.
She's like, wait, I ate a cupcake before I died. You've been trying to kill me. I didn't eat the cupcake. I mean, if they could have actually, I would have loved if they would have really gone even full comedy with it, and she would have kind of had like a little speech, not like long, because it's so melodramatic, not even melodramatic, but it's so dramatic. Like the fact that, you know, it's so accusatory, like on her, but if she could have just been like pacing in the room for a while, just kind of like going nuts, and Laurie's just kind of, what's going on? What is wrong with you? I mean, if they just could have like leaned into the comedy a little bit more, maybe that discovery would have worked for me, because it is ridiculous. So make it ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. I like that she eats the
It's basically like the I know what you did last summer, Julie accusing Ray, like, it was you somehow.
Right.
The cupcake. And then it just turns out that it wasn't even her. Even though it was.
And then Carter's about to get his head bashed in, and she's like, Carter, wait! And he looks at her, and then he gets his head cut off. That'd be great.
Oh, gosh.
I would love to see that version of the movie.
What do you make of it being PG-13?
I mean...
Like, do you think that they could have gone a little more aggressive and done more to earn it an R.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know if that would have helped it be more. I don't know if that would have helped the rewatchability factor.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been. That's what I'm trying. I think that's what I haven't solved for myself yet. Is like, what would make me want to revisit this movie more? And obviously, the broad answer is fine tuning of the script. Because I think the rest of it, I like the production design. I kind of like the fact that there is largely a blue hue in a lot of the night scenes that kind of like you can. I feel like there isn't a frame of this movie that you can look at without knowing you're watching Happy Death Day if you've ever seen it before. It's very uniform. There's a few stylistic here's a few stylistic choices here and there that Christopher Landon makes as a director. I feel like the entire movie, although I did such a succinct job of the synopsis, I feel like if there were a shot to kind of like describe the movie, it would be the kill. It's just Tree's head in close up, and she gets killed, and gravity just gives in. She starts to fall, and then you just see the night before start to melt away behind her, and then bleed into the next morning as her head hits the pillow. She's just like, after being killed again. That's this movie. I don't know how to improve it, but I mean, more graphic deaths. I always like that, but because I don't know, because of the atmosphere, because it's in college. Like, how many brutal college movies are there? I mean, I feel like anytime you put it in college, maybe even more so than in high school. Like, there are high school movies that are really raunchy and that are really brutal. I'm trying to think if there's a college movie, because
maybe like more so back in the 80s, but I mean, like all you have with 90s is like Scream 2 and Urban Legend. Yeah,
and both of those feel, like they're aimed at the audience that is the age of the bulk of the characters who are in it. At least when you see it the first time, like I wonder how many people 50 and up are going to see Scream 2 when they're 50 and up and going, Well,
it just had its 25th anniversary re-release in the theaters. Where you are, not here, unfortunately.
But. Right. Yeah, no, I see a lot of people buying it. But every one of I just don't have time. But every one of the people I know who is going to see it is not seeing it for the first time, Like it's like, it's my baby, and I totally respect that. But with this movie, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know how to solve the problem, Zach.
I was saying before, like, this is a very specific niche that I don't think... Like, that's why I said, like, I don't mind seeing Christopher Landon, like, this being his thing to just keep doing this movie, because I don't think that nobody else is going to make movies like this, because this is not something that, like, mainstream horror audiences are clamoring for. They're not like, yes, remake old movies, old comedies as horror movies. There's a group that are just like, yeah, like, we like that. We'll see it. But I mean, like, if there was more than one director who was making movies like this, and the market became oversaturated with Happy Death Days and Freakies, people would get tired of that very quickly. Like, it's not a sustainable subgenre to at least, like, be made by multiple people. To have more than one movie like that come out a year, that would be too much.
Although, what just occurred to me is that here we're talking about Freaky, and that's a high school movie, and the kills in that were more brutal than the kills in either Death Day movies, or any of the Death Day movies that have been released thus far. Like, I remember that being a feature for Freaky.
Well, that was
all. Like,
wasn't that
opening.
That was R too? I don't think it was PG-13.
Yeah. But I mean, again, so like, if I wonder what Happy Death Day would be if the kills were Freaky-esque. If it was R-rated, if that would make a big difference for me, because obviously,
I mean, the kills in that were also very cartoonish as well.
Yeah, outlandish for sure, but I mean also very graphic. Like I enjoyed them, particularly the opening sequence. I was just like, "Fuck yeah!"
With the wine
but
bottle.
yeah, and the toilet and all of that. But the thing is, Freaky still shares, as I established like earlier in the pod, it still kind of shares this mantle of like movies that I saw and I liked.
And now you move on.
I don't know how many. Yeah. I don't know how many more times I need to see them.
Yeah.
And rewatchability is the thing that makes it land on the shelf, as it were. You know, like I don't need any...
rewatch. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I found is like rewatchability is really like kind of like the highest rating factor for me.
Yes.
Having said that though, like I would be anticipating a third movie in this series, and you know, even beyond that, because I would love to kind of see her journey just go on after that. I mean, like this almost might have worked really well as a television series.
I think it would have worked better, actually. That's what I was thinking while I was watching the movie, because the thing is, even though I don't feel like there's any fat on it per se, if they had to find a way to kind of like achieve the same thing within either, say, like a 45-minute episode of a television show, or if they wanted to just kind of fill in a lot more, like, you know, I don't know, of her days, you know, like have every episode be a day. I don't know how you would do that without it getting really monotonous. But I don't know, just like to occupy a season with this movie, like whatever it is, it might make the direction it takes, like with the sequel, and because I mean, obviously Christopher Landon has a vision for the third movie. That people were already asking about Freaky Death Day after Freaky was released, and he was saying, I still want to make my Happy Death Day 3. I've had this idea for a long time, and that's my passion project. So if I'm going to make another movie in that vein, that's going to be the movie that I make.
I do not need to see a crossover of those two movies. What would you even do? Like it's just I'm fine.
I don't know. Just have the two of them. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you
really
don't know because there is no story, you know.
But if it were a series, it'd be a little bit more plausible because at least you'd just be.
And why does Tree and Millie, or whatever her name is, get a crossover when we've had like Laurie Strode and Nancy Thompson just hanging around all these years? Like, where was their crossover? You know, this is the crossover we're gonna get. Like, no.
Or even just like a Friday the 13th with like maybe not all the final girls, but multiple final girls fighting Jason. Like all of them.
I think the fact like
said they want to.
Freddy versus Jason and Alien versus Predator has shown us that we do not need to cross-pollinate horror franchises. Just leave them be. Let them exist in their own thing.
Freddy vs. Jason was the most successful film at that time in either franchise, though.
That doesn't mean that it's good. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that one.
There are worse films in both franchises, I believe. I still enjoy it. But we'll get into that.
True.
We'll talk about that one when we get to that.
Yeah. Well, it's 20th anniversary is coming up.
Hey. Yeah. See, I'd rather watch that
than Happy Death Day. Really?
Yeah, I really would.
You say that now, but then once you start watching Freddy vs. Jason, you'll be like, why did I agree to this? Because this is what I've noticed. This is what I've noticed with you. And this is not like a knock against you in any way. I think it's very endearing that you jump back and forth on your opinion on certain things. Because some days you'll be like, I really enjoyed this on this screening. But then you'll be like, oh, and I just watched this and I just like, how many more times do I have to watch this? But then like a year later, you'll be like, oh, you know what? I watched that again, and I like it now.
People change. Yeah. I'm not going to argue. It's absolutely true. But
it's your mutable Jason, Virgo energy. That's what it is.
But come next year, I'll have had 20 years of watching Freddy vs. Jason, and I still watch it, and I do own
every
it.
year. You've watched it.
No, have I watched it every year? Probably.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't be surprised if I had. Maybe a year passes here and there that I don't, but then I the thing is, I do develop an appetite for it, and when I sit down and watch it, it actually has. Now that I'm thinking about it, like has a few things in common with this movie in the sense that like it's not as brutal as it could be, and there's a blue component to the visual artistry, and I think that there's a very, very strong actress playing our final girl. Now the final girl herself, two very, very different people, but I like both actresses a lot.
Talking about Monica Keena?
Yeah, I like her in that movie. I like her. I like what she brought to it. Yeah. Now the way it's written is something we can talk about when we do that pod. But ultimately, anyway. But I that movie, I can have fun with that movie. I think Happy Death Day, even though it's a strength, I don't think it's something to criticize the earnestness of like the loss of her mother and everything like that. I actually enjoy that. I won't say enjoy. But I think it's a stronger component of the movie. That said, it's not fun. I'm not like looking forward to like, oh, I want to watch Happy Death Day and I want to watch her talk about like losing her mom. I don't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think this is a fun movie. I don't know.
It is.
Why you okay? Well, I mean, if anything, like it makes sense that this would be a Blumhouse movie because this was probably a very inexpensive shoot, because it probably took them like less than just a couple of weeks to film the whole thing, because everything took place in like the same settings, the same places, the same time. So
yeah,
it's I'm wondering why there hasn't been a third movie like at this point already, because it obviously that's the Blumhouse way to do things, is just kind of produce these cheap movies that they can knock out into the theater and make a bundle off of.
I have a suspicion, and I think I remember seeing the budget for the second one though, and I do believe it was more expensive than this one.
Yeah.
So a third one, the thing is, I don't know what Christopher Landon's vision is. I only know that the world broadens even without bringing Freaky into the mix. I don't see how you kind of return to the minimal
I feel like for the story, I don't think. I mean, also so much time has passed. Like they're getting older. I already noticed that the Israel Bouchard. Did I say it right? Yeah.
Israel Bouchard, yeah.
He already looked. I mean, even if you'd say he's canceled, so who knows? But
kind of like he might
he'll
still
be back.
Working,
but even like from the first movie to the second one, like he did not look the same. So I feel like like they'd have to do a thing where they'd be like, okay, well this is like 4 or 5 years in the future at this point, whenever the movie comes out, and it probably wouldn't be set in college anymore.
Also, interestingly enough, like Israel Bouchard's hair in just this movie alone goes on its own journey. If you just watch his hair, you can just see a trajectory. You can see a point A to a point B to a point C and D. I think every day that they're in another venue, it's like some days it's more trimmed on the sides. Some days it's just like a great big beautiful afro. Some days it's just more maintained. Some days there's more product in it and it looks longer. I'm wondering if like the weather wreaked havoc because he's got a curly component. So I'm wondering if he needed like a serum.
They needed to get like the hair person who worked on the Chucky show, who I guess like maintained like the main kid's hair. Because he had a good consistency throughout the season.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, their hair looks great on Chucky. But what a boon! What a great thing to compliment that series on. The hair is fabulous, but then you tell somebody, "Hey, you want to see Happy Death Day?" Oh my God, had you seen the leading man's hair? But I mean, come on, be consistent. You're reliving the same day over and over again. Are you trying a different product every single day?
Yeah. Well, that makes me remember like the series 24. Remember that like every season took place on like a day. And
Michael Massey was in that, my friend. Yeah.
Who?
Michael Massey from The Crow. We talked about him on the Cursed Films
pod,
and he was the heavy on 24.
Yeah, no, I remember that. But yeah, that like the actors would say in interviews and stuff that they would literally like have to get their hair trimmed just like a smidgen every 5 days just to keep that consistency going for like an entire year's worth of like filming the same day. So yeah, I guess like the budget, Blumhouse's budget was not, they did not take into consideration unmanageable
all the
curly hair.
All the continuity probably went to Jessica Rothe because they knew she was the one we were all gonna have our eyes on anyway. Yeah. So, but Carter's roommate's hair looks the same every day. Ryan's.
Maybe it was a wig
with his lovely little bleach sweep that he has going on.
Did you? What was his line? Did you hit that fine vagina or?
Yeah.
Something?
Yeah. Yeah, that's tactful. That's exactly what you want to hear. Oh God. He's that's another thing though that I do find charming about the movie is just kind of like the side characters who we kind of like look to see like, whoa, how is it going to be different this time? Like I think my favorite turn with Ryan is when I don't even remember the context, but she exits the room in a flurry or a fury maybe, and he hasn't even come in and said his line, and you just see the open door. And you just see his head kind of like poke behind the door, like, what the fuck just happened? Or it's PG-13, so what the hell just happened?
Yeah. Well, because there's a few. There's the guy with the sunglasses who kind of like leers at her.
Kind of gothy, kind of whatever. There's the girl getting the signatures. Okay, the characters who catch my heart, the girl with the signatures is one of them, because when she's like, "You save the world, honey," or whatever she says to her, and then she just kind of like races. Yeah, you save that planet, girl. And then she just, the girl, you just see her run, like just bolt to the next person because she's just like recharged. Like, somebody finally signed. I can save the world. I'm going to go get as many signatures as possible.
She was giving me, she was giving me like young Alex Borstein vibes.
Oh, you know, like, okay. I can see that. Yeah, totally.
She was fun. I'm just trying to, who are the other ones? Because I don't think like anyone else in the quad was like really, or the Tim, the gay boyfriend, or the one date.
Yeah. The one date, the subway date.
Yeah.
I liked him.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that was another thing. Like, that line didn't even make sense. I was like, okay, we're talking about Subway, so we can say footlong, but I don't know. It just didn't make any sense in the context. Like, what a put down. What a strange.
I love like the little like happy dance, like on her like the perfect day, like after she's just like, "You're gay," like. Go find yourself, like, you know, whatever she says, and then she's kind of like
a hot piece of man ass.
Yeah, but then she kind of like does the little. She's like running away. She might even do like a little hop and tap of her feet.
A bell kick.
Maybe, I can't remember. It just she was very gleeful.
She skips away.
Yeah.
She was. Well, the glee on her face when she's spying on him because he's still a suspect, and then she sees the gay porn on his laptop. I just love the kind of, I don't even know how, it's almost like a euphoric bliss she goes into. Very goofy, because it's not just like, oh, it's like, like she just goes all into someplace. It is a choice, and I am here for it. Yeah, he's funny. I like when she puts the pillow under the head of the guy who faints every day with the ball cap. And I really like, you mentioned her earlier, the sorority girl who's like listening to music on the porch, and she like waves and she's always getting ignored, and then finally when she waves back, she's just like, you know, just like whatever.
My day, you know.
I don't know. I feel bad for her when she doesn't get waved back because she just seems sweet, and then when she gets a wave back, she seems satisfied. Like, yay! I'm gonna go on with my day. Yay!
Yeah.
But one more bullet in my belt of happiness. But then I also really feel bad for her when Laurie's body falls out of the window and she is shrieking, and then we see her crying with what's her name, the chocolate milk girl, in the background during Danielle's interview and everything, and she's just and she's still crying, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's traumatized for life, but I'm still laughing.
A cupcake? Kappa girls don't eat carbs.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I laugh really nervously at the part where she, I don't know how to describe it any other way than to just say, does a really horrific offensive impression of a deaf person when she's not getting through to Tree. I'm not going to do an impression of her impression.
Yeah.
But it's so morally corrupt and it's so in alignment with who we're to expect Danielle is, or who we expect to see when she comes into a room or whatever. But it's just and it's actually like a moment that I'm surprised it would still be in a film made as recently as this one was, because it is so reprehensible.
But I think because you have to take into context like who's saying it. Like if it's something that Tree did, then they'd probably take issue with that. Yeah,
but the fact that Danielle is the designated psycho hose beast of the piece, like as bad as Tree is, Danielle's even worse. Because I don't know. That's another thing. I'm not going to finish that sentence.
Okay. Do we have anything else to say about really. Happy Death Day? I feel like we've been coasting for a while here.
There's not a lot to delve into.
No, because it's just a repeating scene. I mean, like there are the little nuances, but it's Well, I mean, even before we started this, I said too, like I think it's going to be a quicker one. Yeah. And we were right. So
I didn't argue. I was.
So yeah, let's get to the cherry picker.
It's not like we killed people on purpose.
All right, cherry on top. I think this is going to be pretty easy. But what do you say?
Yeah. Danielle, obviously. No, Tree. It's Tree.
It's Tree.
The movie is Tree.
It's Tree.
Yeah.
It'll always
totally
be Tree. It couldn't be anyone else.
No, absolutely not.
I'm glad that was easy and painless, and we didn't have to disagree. But now we can get to the cherry picker. And last week, we asked you who deserves to die the most in Candyman. I said Professor Purcell. You said Stacy, or as I like to call her, Malibu Stacy.
Yeah.
With her Pepto-Bismol pink walls.
Yes.
People have voted across Patreon, Instagram, and YouTube, and the vote came to 409 for Purcell versus 275 for Stacy.
Oh wow, that's a lot of people.
These numbers are very backwards too, because if like on Patreon, Purcell got 4 votes, whereas Stacy got 16. Instagram, Purcell got 26, whereas Stacy got 36. But then on YouTube, 379 for Purcell and only 223 for Stacy.
Okay.
So YouTube the gang showed up for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
But Patreon, what happened there? There's some shifting loyalties I've noticed.
Oh my god. We both have the same end game in sight. Like I am proud of you that you succeeded. Just take the win.
Thank
Jesus
you.
Christ. I didn't win by enough though. Don't go after your Patreon. Don't go after your patrons.
I'm not. Good. Let's see what the comments are saying. So TP Hoarder. I like that toilet paper hoarder.
Yeah,
Can't even
right.
spare a square, you know? My real concern here is most people I know haven't seen this movie. That is very disconcerting. I would say.
That's sad.
Blueberry
people.
says, I don't remember if I ever saw the original, but based on these pictures, that guy. Speaking of like characters in movies that look like the Penguin, I feel like Purcell has that maybe like a little bit of a comic book Oswald Cobblepot ness to him.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Absolutely. Kind of like Oswald meets Ben Franklin.
Also, because mentioned, like, because we can now put pictures on the YouTube polls where I couldn't before. People were asking for the longest time, and it like literally it was like an Android update, and then it finally went to like everywhere, so you could do it on like iPhones and desktop.
Nice.
DP says Stacy. She married Trevor. She took him from Helen. All that I can forgive. But Stacy pastels.
I was wondering where this was going because I'm like, married. Like, did they marry?
I don't think they got married, but there's
I like.
Yeah,
they were. But I like the stacking to the Addams Family quote. I appreciate that.
Blue Box 87 says Stacy couldn't paint, couldn't cook, didn't even know how to scream. What's interesting though is like
beautiful.
There is no, and this was like a note of Bernard Rose. Like he didn't want it to be like a horror movie where people were screaming all the time, right. That's the only scream that you hear in the movie is hers at the end there. And I think he even had reservations about that, but I think he just decided because it's coming from that character that it's okay. But if it was coming from Virginia Madsen or Casey Lemons, like they're just like no,
right.
I couldn't have them do that. That's why she's so like quiet when the door closes and Candyman is there before her.
Save the mania for the button. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Rowena Potter. I tend to follow Eddie's pick, not purposefully, but it ends up like that. Whereas the professor was a dick, this chick was a student going after a married man. Her own teacher. She didn't even love him. And the biggest flaw, Pepto-Bismol pink walls. That's all I have to say. It is a very egregious color. The only time it works is if you're Selena Kyle in Batman Returns. That's it.
And that's a sadder pink than Pepto-Bismol. I mean, it's kind of like milky expired Pepto-Bismol in Selena's. Anyway, go on.
Mr. White says the professor is literally Christian. Do you get that?
I don't.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not keeping up with all the pop culture lingo, I guess, but Thomas Baker says my vote goes to Stacy, someone who paints an apartment so hideous with the bright color pink, has never seen Child's Play 2 before, so she dies the most. The more. Was that the color in Child's Play 2 of their house?
Well, you'd think I'd remember. Oh, wait. Okay. Maybe in the room, like the upstairs room where she gets strangled and everything and does the reveal, the turnaround and everything. Is that a pink room? I can't remember.
And I just watched it like a week ago.
I mean, there's enough atrocity going on just like in the characters themselves, so I'm not going to take in the decor all that much. I remember Andy's room was blue, though, so blue and pink. That seems like the vibe of that house, though, blue and pink. Yeah. Right?
I just remember the gaudy fucking statues or little figurines and stuff.
Oh, Jesus. Her Yadros or whatever the fuck they
are. That's like Trevor and Stacy in like 20 years from now. They're foster parents.
Totally
we have to give back, you know?
I would love to see Jenny Agutter play Malibu Stacy. Oh my god, that's great.
Sucked says Stacy. She wishes she was Alicia Silverstone. Could you imagine
Okay,
Alicia Silverstone in the role of Stacy?
Oh, I get a similar vibe from Stacy in Candyman as I do from Alicia Silverstone in that. What was the name of that movie where she it was like Her Fatal Attraction with Carrie Elways?
Oh,
do you remember that?
The
Crush? Was it The Crush? Yeah.
What was her line in
that?
That
you, Nick, and you love me. Yeah. That's Stacy. That's Stacy over and over. Yeah. So good catch.
We need to cover that movie at some point. Kira
I would
Wood.
love to cover that movie.
Kira Wood.
Yes.
They're both awful, but I'll say Prof. Purcell. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Michael Begley says Stacy for her terrible acting. I don't remember the actor's name, but I don't think she was in anything beyond that.
Not that I can remember, but it's a very vocal minority, this particular turn, though. I'm noticing a lot of Stacy's speaking out.
I feel like because the majority, because that's the thing, like when you're in the majority, you don't have to work as hard to sell it, sort of thing. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, you know. But when you see you're in the minority, you're like, okay, more people need to be voting this way. Yeah. And Grant Dempsey says, the pompous Purcell, proud professor. That's a lot of alliteration. Do be sure to read his precious paper. Fine performer, decent storyteller, but a dweeb and something of a creeper. Step aside, Stacy. Prof gets the reaper.
Oh my god.
How poetic.
Can I tell you, all week I've for some reason had that moment repeating in my memory. Like I'll just be carrying, deliveries to people and stuff like that, and I'll just hear in my head just like, so how are you going to bury me? And I'll just be like, actually, Purcell, we are going to bury you. It's just like, oh, I don't know why. It's staying. That's the moment that's remaining from this most recent screening. It's just that confrontation, and it bothers me. I think that's why, because it bothers me.
Bothers you?
Sorry, I just thought I'd share that. Thanks for sharing. Cool story, bro.
Anyway, now when it comes time to Happy Death Day, I will go first. And I'm going to say, I mean, this shouldn't come as a surprise because I already kind of said my piece with this character, but Laurie, because what the fuck is your problem, bitch? You have the weakest motive where, because someone doesn't like you and they want to sleep with your roommate or something like that. Like, fuck off. And not only that, but you're going to use that as an excuse to go and kill multiple people? Like, other than just the person who you have the issue with, but, like, other people. That ain't cool. And, what was the other thing? Tree was and especially on that last day, Tree, like, apologized to her and just, like, I know I've been a really shitty roommate and all these things. And
yeah, that's true.
Even, like, didn't even take that into heart. Like, I don't know. There's probably more reasons, but I think, she just sucks. Crappy killer costume, and irrational. Just that's my final word on it.
Okay. There were quite a few things here and there from.
Oh, and the high pony as well. I don't know. There's only so much high pony.
The high pony. Yeah. Very good.
I wanted Tree to like yank it. Was there like a part in the fight at the end where she did?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I was
also
doing laundry at that point.
Happened.
Yeah, she totally should have. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of low-hanging fruit. But anyway, it's just I always think about the neck. I always think about just like what that does to the neck. I'm like, But anyway, okay. But yeah, a lot of characters like kind of left and right actually did some things that irked me throughout this movie. But like like Danielle had her moments, and I don't like Greg, the professor, and even the wife. Even though she's like a victim, there's something I don't like about
her energy.
Like Tree's telling like him, like your wife loves you and blah 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 blah. So if you don't love her, then be a man and like walk away or something. And I'm like, but if you're suspecting something, like why are you letting him get away with it? He is so bad at pretending. Anyway, so I mean, it just irked me. I was just kind of like, be better.
Are we victim shaming again?
I think so, but I mean, it's purely circumstantial, based on this very specific circumstance. I'm not saying overall, if somebody cheats on you, you know, be better.
It's your fault.
No, I've been cheated on myself. So no, I've been cheated on myself. So I definitely sympathize. But that's the thing. I should be sympathizing more with this character, and instead I'm just kind of like, what's your problem? Yeah. Anyway, she's not my choice either. I'm gonna go in a really weird direction. Okay. Maybe just because there was something from a very unexpected character. Yeah, a very unexpected character that bothered me to no end. I'm picking Tree's mom because in that video that Tree's watching of them sharing their birthday together and blowing out the candle, she pushes Tree's face into the cake. That is so dangerous.
Were the candles lit?
No, I don't think so. But no, I mean, this is the thing. Even without the candles lit, it is dangerous. Have you seen how many attempts at that, like where people like push somebody's face into the cake, like, you know, unbeknownst to them and everything, and they either push too hard and dislodge something in their neck and they render them unconscious, or one person pushes the face and the cake slides because like someone's hands like jut forward or something like that, so their face just goes right directly into the table. Like, there have been so many injuries.
I love that this is all based on a hypothetical.
It is. I saw it in a video. It really bothered me. I was like,
nothing that actually happened in the movie, but in a video.
Funny. It's not funny. Like, I don't understand. That's another thing. I don't understand the sense of humor. If anyone ever would have done that to me on any one of my birthdays, this is why I don't celebrate my birthday anymore. But if I did, if somebody ever pushed my face as a joke into my birthday cake to like make themselves laugh or whatever, done. I'm done. You're out of my life if I'm still coherent enough to remember who you are after I get my face out of that cake. Or if I even am fortunate enough to be cushioned by the cake. Like, I hate it. I absolutely, it bothers me that much. I think Tree's mom deserved to die.
Is that your final answer?
That's
your nomination?
Answer. That's my nomination, and we'll see if anybody votes for it.
I thought you would go for, I mean, at the very least, like that frat boy who like kind of comes in when she's getting attacked.
When she's being attacked,
just like, help me,
he just goes,
woo, and leaves. Like, you.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit too. And even the guy who's dancing to like seduce her, I'm like, what a loser! Like, get him out of here. Why wouldn't she just date the gay guy? But I know why. But yeah. I don't know. Like I said, left and right, there are bad people all over this movie. But her mom,
Tree's mom is the worst, apparently.
So this is just an experiment. Let's see if anybody votes for her.
Okay. This isn't just like
I really do.
You really do what?
I really do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did. There is a theme with necks here that you were talking about. So
exactly.
Okay.
Like.
Well. There you have it. Vote your heart. Vote your conscience. You can vote on Patreon, Instagram, or YouTube. We do have some new Patreon supporters, so I would like to welcome Callahan McKeon, Sean Hussein, and Haley Blair. Welcome aboard.
Yay to all of you. Welcome.
All of yous. And also a big thank you to Andre Felix, our podcast editor. If you guys would like to support the podcast on Patreon, you get to watch or listen to these episodes early, at least the Thursday before. And also, if you are signed up to the Freddy Krueger tier, you will also get to see our bonus episodes, which coming up this month is a Halloween franchise special. I feel like we've already like revealed it, but we're just gonna call it a special for now. So
surreptitious.
If you can't get enough Halloween, you know, we've got extra Halloween for you. But you can, if you are new to the podcast and you're watching us on YouTube, you can also listen to us. The RSS feed link is in the descriptions down below. And then also, if you are listening to us, you can find us on YouTube, The Cherry Picker. We're also on Instagram if you'd like to follow us. The handle is at The Cherry Picker Pod. And Eduardo, where can they, as you're miming all this shit for...
You can also find me on Instagram at Edward is Truth is the handle, all one word, traditional spelling. And YouTube, same thing. You can watch me watch some movies. I'm trying to get my head around
where
you
keep saying that.
I'm trying to figure shit out, man. I got life to live. Anyway, how about you?
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at RetroBitchface. I'm on Twitter at ZackCherry8. And I got my YouTube channel, Zack Cherry. You can also find the links to our YouTube channel in the channel section if you're on YouTube here. But what do we have going on next week?
Glad you asked.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is?
Is it the movie that's releasing? Is it the movie that's...
Quite possibly.
Okay, quite possibly. The one with that's ending?
We literally just talked about a bonus special to get more of this, but this will be the regular scheduled broadcasting. So yes,
right.
What is it?
So okay, it's shit. That one with I can't pretend that I don't know anymore now. Okay,
it's the one with the trauma.
It's the one with the trauma.
Yeah.
It's the one where did we make a monster or is he a monster on his own and we merely recognize it? That's the one. Yeah. Are we the monster? Or did we create him? What'd we do? Oh, Haddonfield's gone to shit. I'm really silly now. I don't know.
Are we just going to say it so we can wrap this up?
I did. I said Halloween ends.
Oh, I didn't hear it. There you go. Halloween ends. Next week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next week for some trauma.